So after buying my Dark Moon cards a few weeks ago, I had become broke. Very broke. In fact, I was so broke on my paladin, I couldn't even afford to buy a summon. And across all 4 of my characters, I had a total of just under 50 gold. Raid was coming up in a few days, and of course we've got to be chasing them 99s. And boy, that shit is not cheap. So I had to think of a way to make some gold and recoup some of that Dark Moon card money back. I knew just the place. A place where I can solo bosses and make some easy G's there, so I hopped on the flight path and just like CJ from San Andreas...
Oh shit, here we go again. Worst place in the world.
Back at Moradon. The plan is simple. Kill Landslide, kill Tinkerer, get weapons, disenchant, large brilliant shards, and we're back in the money. So let me show you how it works. But firstly, these are going to be the talents and runes we're going to be taking for this farm. I've tried various ways and believe me, Landslide is pretty rough and this is the best setup by far. Just like in my previous Moradon solo boss kill guides, you'll need the scepter so you can teleport directly to the waterfall inside the dungeon. And once inside, we head firstly to Landslide. If you pull this pack of Basilisk on the right, don't worry too much, just hug against the wall and strafe jump. The walls in Moradon tend to bug out the mobs if you strafe jump, making the mobs stutter a little bit. If you need to, here is a reset spot. In our case, we don't need to, so we carry on. Same idea, strafe along the wall while jumping. Try not to cut this corner here too sharply, else the mobs could hit you. If you were dazed on the way, there's another reset spot right here. And at any point, you could pass patrols in awkward spots, but most of the times it's fine, just follow along the edge of the cliff just like I do, and stun any mobs that get too close. Once at the top, you want to get onto this crystal, which is a reset spot. If you didn't pull any of the big giants, then most of the time you won't need to log out, but instead just wait for them to reset. The giants, however, do struggle to reset, so if you pulled an edge, just start logging out. Now, to not pull the giant on the right side, we jump across the crystals like this. If you accidentally do pull the giant, you can also reset him on this spot. Now, before we pull Landslide, this part is very important. You want to use the improved Sanctuary rune and give yourself Blessing of Sanctuary, as it will snapshot the benefit of the rune even after you swap the rune out. So you can then switch to Fanaticism for the 18% Holy Crit. You also want to use Concentration Aura, because you'll be having to cast Flash of Light and you need to have 0 knockback. When you pull Landslide, you want to Judge Wisdom and keep yourself topped up. He's not very threatening until he spawns ads, and even then he's not too bad. However, when he spawns his second set of ads, you'll now have to deal with a few things. One is a ton of incoming damage. If need be, focus on healing as much as you can. The second main thing to watch out is making sure the mobs are never behind you. When the mobs are behind you in WoW, you can no longer dodge, parry or block, and you will take a shit ton of damage from these mobs. Lastly, you'll want to tank Landslide in a way where when he knocks you back, you're going to benefit from being knocked the full distance. This typically gives you a small window to cast Flash of Light without taking any return damage, because similarly, when you are hard casting, you also cannot dodge, parry or block. Always remember to use your full toolkit. If you need to bubble, use it. If you need to use Lay on Hands, use it. But as a quick note, only use Blessing of Protection as a last resort, because you will lose the snapshotted Blessing of Sanctuary, and I cannot understate how powerful it is for this fight. Okay, so we've downed Landslide and the hard part is over. Now we just heal up to full and come to the edge of the cliff and jump off. If you're full health, you won't die and you shouldn't pull any mobs, but don't worry, if you do for some reason pull any mobs, it is a safe spot, so you'll be safe. Now we just heal back up again and head towards Tinkerer. Strafe jumping against the walls as usual. If you get dazed, this is a reset spot right here. But we're okay, so we carry on. You want to cut across this corner and stun this snake to stop any potential daze that could happen, and then you have to jump onto this safe spot right here. Now I have to express about this safe spot, as I've had multiple comments on my Tinkerer solo video. This jump for this safe spot is not as easy as it looks, and it does take quite a bit of practice to hit every time like this. I would recommend using the previous safe spot and killing the snake pack and practicing this jump for this safe spot. Now after the mobs have reset, just make sure the patrol of the rock elementals down below are out the way and we pull Tinkerer. Get right up into this corner, use Judgment of Wisdom plus Fire Resistance Aura, and honestly, he's so easy, you can kind of deal with him however you like. You can stand here and face tank all the damage, all the fire damage, and just keep yourself topped up and kill him. Once he's dead, you just want to once again abuse the walls and run out this way strafing past the snakes. If you need to, feel free to bubble, but after a few runs you'll probably feel comfortable enough to where you don't have to worry too much. At the end of the cliff you want to jump off into the water. But before you jump, quickly check to see where Rock Grip is, because if you jump right down on top of him, it's lights out. That guy hurts. When you're in the water, just log out and you'll skip back to the entrance, ready to run out, reset and repeat. So now you know how it works. I kept at it. Farming. Firstly for 2 hours before it became too late and I decided to call it a night. The next day we had 8 hours to grind up, so we logged on, got ready for 8 hours of depression because let's be real, we're all sick of Moradon by now. And is it me, or do these giants look like they have ball bags on their chins? Anyway, the hours piled up, the shards were stacking, and with the odd little blip because I got too cocky a few times from being impatient, after 10 hours with half broken gear by the end, we were finished and ready to halfstone out of there to count up how rich we were going to be. But quickly, before we get into the details on the amount of gold that was actually made, I just want to quickly point out the timer that it says on the farm log add-on compared to the actual real life timer that I was showing. The farm log add-on shows 9 hours and 18 minutes. The reason for this is because that is the time inside Moradon only. I used a real life timer instead because that included the times where I was locked out and also the times where, I was killed by a horde and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to clear that up first. So the gold per hour is slightly lower than what the add-on says, but it's only ever so slightly different. So with that covered, let's go into the reasons why this is a good farm and where the gold actually comes from on the breakdown. So as you can see, in total, we made 1,614 gold. That is over the course of 10 hours, which makes it 161.4 gold per hour. Honestly, pretty tasty if you ask me. So we had 43 instances in total, with 3 deaths, silly deaths of course, killed 17 frogs because why not? Also killed 36 snakes, just throwing it in there. We have some princess kills on here, so just to clear up why there's some princess kills on here. It's because you done the run so fast that you get locked out. So sometimes you'll be at a point where you need 20 minutes until the next lockout is free. So in that 20 minutes, if you have Skull of Impending Doom, you can quickly throw in a princess on top of the 2 kills that you're doing, just for a little bit of extra gold. And you can see one of the runs we actually got a Charstone Dirk, which disenchants into a large brilliant. So overall, we got 11 Fist of Stones, so there's 11 brilliant shards. 1 from Charstone Dirk, and then we got 17 from Inventor's Focal Sword. And at the time of recording this video, each large brilliant was roughly over 50 gold, so that equaled out to be 1,466 gold from large brilliant shards. And then other than that, we just made a bit of gold from some of the vendor that we vendored, some of the items that dropped from the bosses, and also 10 gold from raw gold. So again, in total for 10 hours, real-time hours, we made 1,614 gold. So you might be thinking, why is this farm good? Well, obviously the gold per hour is pretty decent, but apart from that, it's actually quite consistent because Landslide has a 1 in 4 chance to drop the weapon, and Tinkerer has a 1 in 3 chance to drop the weapon, both of which disenchant into large brilliants. As you can see, large brilliants are worth a decent whack. But honestly, the best part about it is the fact that you don't have to compete with anyone for any nodes, any veins, any mobs. You're in a dungeon, yeah, you might get killed here and there by the horde when you've run into a new dungeon, but at this point, there isn't that many people at Mara, so you don't get killed that much anymore, not like you used to at least anyway. And with that now, I've got a big chunk of change in my pocket, most of which is probably going to be spent on raiding consumables over the next few weeks. I hope you enjoyed the video, let me know what you want to see me do next, and thanks for watching.